Step into the firelit halls of pagan Britain and experience the Winter Solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year. From the monumental alignments of Stonehenge to the feasts at Durrington Walls, discover how communities marked midwinter with ritual, food, and hope for the returning sun. And if you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more history storytelling. The Winter Solstice is the shortest day and longest night of the year. It falls around December 21st in Britain. The name comes from Latin, sol, meaning sun, and sistere, meaning to stand still. It describes the sun's pause before its gradual climb back toward longer days. Archaeological evidence shows that Neolithic Britons marked this turning point. Stonehenge is aligned to the midwinter sunset. Nearby, Durrington Walls reveals vast feasts of pork and cattle bones, slaughtered in winter around 2500 BCE. These monuments suggest that midwinter was a time of communal gathering, ritual, and survival. Later, Anglo-Saxons called this season Yule, or Yule, a midwinter festival lasting several days. Livestock that could not survive the cold were slaughtered, providing rare abundance. While myths of the sun's rebirth appear in later Indo-European traditions, we cannot know if Neolithic Britons held such beliefs. What is certain is that the solstice was a turning point, a moment when darkness began to yield, and the promise of returning light gave hope to communities enduring the harshest season. Fire was central to Yule. Hearths glowed in halls. Flames symbolized the returning sun. Archaeology cannot tell us the exact rituals, but later Germanic and Norse traditions describe blot sacrifices. Fire carried offerings to gods such as Odin and Freya. The familiar Yule log tradition is an early modern custom. It was first clearly attested in France and later in Britain. We cannot trace it directly to Anglo-Saxon practice, though burning wood in hearths was of course essential. Sparks rising into the night were seen as signs of renewal. They echoed the cosmic drama of light overcoming darkness. Later medieval and early modern Britain had midwinter bonfires, often on hilltops. Evidence for prehistoric or Anglo-Saxon hilltop fires is thinner. Still, fire rituals were certainly central to marking the solstice. In pagan Britain, fire was both practical and sacred. It gave warmth, it cooked food, and it stood as a ritual defiance against the longest night. Each flame was a reminder that the sun would rise again, and that communities could endure the cold together. Evergreens were valued in midwinter for their resilience. Holly and ivy appear in early medieval winter customs. Their exact symbolic meanings are better attested in later folklore. Holly's sharp leaves and red berries were thought to protect against misfortune. Ivy represented endurance and fidelity. Yew was widely associated with death and rebirth across European cultures. It may echo world tree symbolism in later Germanic traditions, though this link is not directly evidenced in early Britain. Fir trees, evergreen through frost, became symbols of eternity in later practice. Families decorated homes with branches, not merely for beauty, but as a gesture of defiance against winter's barrenness. Circular wreaths as symbols of the wheel of the year are a later development. We cannot confirm that pre-Christian Britons used wreaths this way. In pagan Britain, bringing greenery indoors was a way of inviting life into the home when the land lay dormant. Whether for protection, fertility, or simple reassurance, evergreens glowed in firelight. They turned halls into sanctuaries of hope. Midwinter was marked by feasting. At Durrington Walls, thousands of pig bones show that Neolithic Britons held vast communal meals in winter. Later, Anglo-Saxons and Norse peoples slaughtered livestock at Yule. This ensured food for the months ahead. Mead and ale flowed, brewed from summer harvests. Long tables bound families and neighbours together. Storytellers recited myths, musicians played, communities gave thanks for survival. In Norse tradition, The Bragafull, the cup of Bragi, was a ritual toast. It honoured gods, ancestors, and oaths for the coming year. These acts reinforced bonds of loyalty and fellowship. Sacrifice and sharing were intertwined. What was offered to the gods was also given to the tribe. While modern imagery of endless feasting may romanticize the past, archaeology confirms the truth. Midwinter gatherings were real, practical, and sacred. The feast was a pact. Survival through generosity, renewal through ritual, hope carried into the new year. Gift-giving at Yule is less directly evidenced than feasting. But generosity was central to Germanic culture. Anglo-Saxon and Norse lords were known as ring-givers. They bestowed arm rings, weapons, or treasures to secure loyalty. Such acts may have been tied to midwinter gatherings, though everyday gift exchange at Yule is speculative. Families likely shared food, charms, or tokens of protection. Oaths themselves were considered gifts, promises of service, friendship, or protection spoken during ritual toasts. Later, folklore added sprigs of holly or ivy. Blessings exchanged among households. What mattered was not the object, but the bond. Gifts reinforced kinship, loyalty, and survival. In this way, generosity at Yule was both practical and symbolic. It wove communities together as tightly as the evergreens hung in their halls. As dawn broke after the longest night, communities greeted the horizon with relief. The returning light was proof that darkness would yield, and the cycle of seasons would continue. While myths of the sun's rebirth appear in later Indo-European traditions, we cannot know if Neolithic Britons imagined the sun as a child of promise. What is certain is that the solstice sunrise mattered deeply. It marked the turning of the year, the reassurance that spring would come. Later, Norse and medieval traditions added layers. The 12 nights of Yule were believed to hold prophetic power, though these were shaped by Christian calendars. For pagan Britain, the dawn was enough. It was survival, renewal, and hope written in light. As the first rays broke across frozen fields, they were celebrated as victory, the eternal cycle turning once more, life reborn from the longest night. From Stonehenge to Yule, the winter solstice reminds us how communities found hope in the darkest times. History is full of stories like these, and Britain is just the beginning. If you've enjoyed this journey, like and subscribe, and join me as we uncover more tales from the past.